What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to Park to Prem here with Town Town. Today we are back for the game that I promised at the end of last episode, the game which at the end of last episode was going to be second versus third, and it has only been just over a week since that, but things have changed quite rapidly. This is a later kickoff, so both ourselves and Middlesbrough do have a game in hand, but as you can see here, it's suddenly a 5th versus 7th place tie, which doesn't look all that glamorous, does it? But it really does emphasise just how tight things are at the top here. A win for us could take us into 2nd place. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how tight things are at the top here. There is a lot of teams battling it out behind Burnley for that elusive 2nd place spot, and indeed for the playoffs, which is kind of to be expected with the Championship. It is an insanely competitive league, and well, we've not really done ourselves any favours. We've played one game since you were last here. I think today we're going to do the game against Middlesbrough, and then we're going to talk about transfer ideas for January, because given where we are, I feel like we do have to consider investing to try and have that push, that oomph, you know, that thing that's going to get us over the line. I'm saying as I punch my hand. I think you know what I mean. But since you were last here, we played one game. It was against 14th place Birmingham. So what did we do? We drew. Yeah. I don't even know what to tell you, folks. We took the lead early on. I felt like we had the better of the play for large spells here, but we just didn't really turn up in the final third, and we don't keep clean sheets. So when we concede one and only score one, we're not going to do particularly great things. So that's a little bit of a setback, and it does kind of make you wonder, you know, if we had won that game, we would right now be sitting in 4th place, looking to jump ahead of Portsmouth by 2 points. As things stand, a win for us here against Middlesbrough, which certainly isn't guaranteed, would only take us ahead of them on goal difference. It's a little bit odd, to be honest, just how things are playing out in this league. Obviously, it's kind of to be expected. You can see here, Molyneux has just peeped onto the goal scorer kind of charts, I suppose. He's just signed a new deal at the club this week. He has become the club's highest earner now. He was already on a 5-year deal on £10,000 a week. I've given him a 5-year deal on £16,000 a week to try and force away a bit of the interest being shown in him by a few Premier League sides. And we've also got a contract extension after promotion of 3 years. So if we can make it to the big time, doesn't necessarily have to be this year, although that would be nice. His contract will run out in 2036. So we could have potentially 8 more years of Molyneux. Would be interesting to see how he translates to the Premier League. It's weird with Molyneux because I kind of look at Shvetsov and I look at Turnbull and I think, oh, we've got all these fantastic prospects. Even Bravo, I suppose, sat in the reserves. Eric as well. You kind of look for all these youngsters going, man, we've got really good talent. It's kind of easy to forget that Molyneux has only just turned 22. Like, he is not old by any means. Like, he should continue to improve, hopefully. But no, he really has been top draw this year. 14 goals, 7 assists. And speaking of new contracts, he's not the only person who's got a new contract, because if we just look at our profile, hopefully it doesn't take too long to load. We have signed a new deal with Town, everyone. Yes, the board were keen to offer us a new deal. We still had 3 years left of our previous deal, but with our good recent form, with them absolutely loving our performance, I went over to them, gave them a little nudge and said, yeah, how about that new contract? And they came back and they gave us a new contract, so fair play to them. You can see here, the overall balance of the club isn't looking particularly great. We're making that loss that we kind of expect to make. And, well, I said before, I'm going to talk about transfers after the match today. Just to give you the TLDR, we'll go into more detail later. Basically, we have lots and lots of wage budget excess. I switched around the budget over the summer to give us loads of excess wage budget, just because I didn't really want to spend £8 million when we didn't have £8 million in the balance, whereas the wages I'm a little bit more willing to spend into. My thinking is basically that we look in January for players with contracts expiring in a year's time and try and sign some really good value players. Adrian Rodriguez, by the way, that youngster we looked at last year, his contract's up at the end of the year. That could be an interesting one. But yeah, I'm kind of looking through things thinking, man, we could really strengthen the first team with some freebies. I guess the big dilemma is basically I could be signing a load of players in January on pre-contract, so they join at the end of their contracts on Bosman's, and we could get promoted and suddenly they're not good enough. It's tricky. Obviously, the other option is that we approach to sign players and then try and buy them now with the transfer budget that we do have. But I think a lot of the strategy is basically going to revolve around how we do this year and, to an extent, how we do this game. If we lose against Middlesbrough, we're set outside the playoffs. I kind of, despite only being a few points behind, would be a little bit less focused, I guess, on the what-ifs of if we get promoted. Whereas if we can win against Middlesbrough away from home as we enter this game, we'd be second in the league, and I would be a lot more hesitant to go out there and sign a load of players on pre-contracts who may not necessarily be Premier League quality, and I would be signing on the assumption that we're going to be a championship team. I hope that makes sense. Essentially, there's two quite different schools of thought. There's the school of thought of, do we just go and sign a load of players on Bosmans, on free transfers that are championship quality and that could help us next year for a push? Or do we look at it and go, actually, promotion is possible this year. Let's not go and get a load of freebies. Let's just focus on the squad that we have, and then maybe we'll have a bit more money next year. Anyway, that's a good start. Molineux into the bottom corner as I ramble away, and Shuttleworth with an assist. I'm not sure what Shuttleworth is doing there. It looked like he was doing some skiing action, but he wasn't moving his hands correctly. Either way, lovely little assist by Shuttleworth. He's not the fastest player, but look at him go, the number 17. Lays it inside to Molineux. First time past Samba. Maybe that's what Shuttleworth was doing. He was doing the Shuttleworth shuttle. The Shuttleworth Samba shuttle. Okay, let's stop this. By the way, Will is still in goal. Smolio's still not 100% today. So that's why. I think Smolio's not 100%. I didn't actually check. I just kind of assumed he wasn't available. Do I want to check? Do I want to embarrass myself here? I mean, Will did well last game, didn't he, to be fair? Yeah, you can see here, he's still a little bit injured. He's not even back in training. He's still in rehab. So yeah, that's why we're going to go with Will. And worth noting, by the way, it's Christmas time here, or a little after Christmas now. So it's the season of cheer. We'll hope that we can give our fans something to smile about ending 2028 with a bang. Shuttleworth, 1 assist to his name already. Skips past his man, whips it in, shreds off Molineux. Lovely goal. I'm going to applaud it. Jimmy Molineux, I've given him a new contract, and I was concerned, you know, as you are, you make one of your players the big earner. You kind of really invest heavily into them, and then suddenly they just stop performing. None of that happening here. I thought Shvetsov was going to just hit it goalwards, but a really intelligent nod down, and Molineux just a fox in the box to tap it into the bottom corner. 20 minutes gone, 2-0 up away from home. It feels a little bit like last live-com, doesn't it? Maybe I should just live-com every match, because when we took on Birmingham, we looked absolutely awful in our last game, and then whenever we've come back for live-coms in the last couple of games, we've done very, very well against good opposition. Of course, we can't get too carried away just yet. It's only 2, which might seem a little weird, but this is Towler. Oh my word, what a tackle by Williamson. And that shot goes wide. Williamson, by the way, surprise package. Can we just have a look at Ronnie here? Look at his development, everyone. I know I keep leaving the game. I'm just excited. There's so much to be excited about here at Towler. He really has been a bit of a game changer, has Ronnie, at left centre-back. Unfortunately, I want to blame him. It's Shvetsov and Dazelle, who aren't the ideal men to be marking the back post, wins it in the air. And, I mean, Shvetsov's jump is just not good there. Could Will have done better? I feel inclined to say yes. And now it's 2-1, and suddenly they've taken the wind out of my sail. I'm nervous, everyone. A goal before half-time could help us a ton. We've got a highlight here, but it is, well, deep in their, well, not deep in their half, shallow in their half. That's not an expression. Shuttleworth, what can you do? He whips in Kosic header. Oh my word, Vinko, and oh my word, Shuttleworth. Everything coming down the right-hand side for us. And Vinko Kosic, everyone, he didn't score a load of goals last year. You might remember a couple of years ago, he had that second half of the year where he kind of just burst onto the scene and was just scoring goals for fun. And then last year, a little bit less of that. This year in the Championship, he's back at it. He's refound his goal-scoring head. I want to say head because he's scoring a lot of headers. It's 3-1. Could we make it 4 before half-time? I would love to see it. Dazelle switches the play to Shuttleworth. Goes all the way to Mr. Desso, who plays across. Molineux scores a hat-trick in the first half. We score goals for fun in this league. We just can't defend. I said I was concerned a couple of episodes ago that it just isn't sustainable, that idea of outscoring every team. We're just going to try and do it. Mr. Dessa, lovely ball played across. Molineux, just again, he just finds space in the 6-yard box, gets away from his man, tucks it away. 17 for the season for him. And he is propelling himself to the top of the goal-scoring charts in the league with this performance. Very pleased. I can't even be angry. 2 late goals to end the half puts us in a great position. And could we get a goal right here in this half? Free header hits the woodwork. That may have been Williamson at the back post. No, it was Molineux again. He wants more. What have we given Molineux since he signed a new contract? Is he like fueled by money? That is the only logical explanation. Just give him $1 million a week. Mr. Dess has been booked, right? Less of the tackling thing. Set piece here, Shuttleworth. And could we get another? We could, although Shvetsov does then have to hit the target with his header. That was an awful header in the end. Colin Sacco's had a bit of a meh game. Diarra recently asked about going out on loan, which I wasn't so keen on, so we'll give him a few minutes here. I feel like with half an hour left and a free goal cushion, we can afford to rotate things slightly, particularly because Diawara's not a bad player at all. Anyway, Shvetsov on this left-hand side, inside to Kosic. Shvetsov again, unfortunately losing out, although we are pressing high and pressing hard here. They beat the press and they get it forward quite well here. It's with Winnett, who already has 1 goal to his name, is going to have to go alone, except Hugo decides he's just going to hack him down. Right, Will, you've got very, very good stats, Will, in terms of penalty saving. I'm making out, but I don't know his stats. Can he do it, Will? Oh, well, he went the right way. I thought he was going to do it for a split second. Lewis Wing didn't wing it. He put it into the bottom corner. It's disaster. Mannion goes the right way. He actually gets a fingertip to it with his red gloves. If only he had bigger gloves. Someone give him some bigger gloves and fill the tips of the fingers with something. Right, Dazelle to Mr. Dessa. 1 assist already for the right back. Could he turn provider again? Goes to Shuttleworth. Molyneux Rabonas it to Shvetsov, who misses a chance. Oh, Molyneux's just, he's having fun. He's just Rabona'd it, you nutty geezer. He's just loving his football. Shvetsov back post. Oh my word. We've had chances in this game and that was another great one, really. Shvetsov's been a little underwhelming. I'm going to bring in Dylan Turnbull and you know what? I was about to take off Kosic. Is that harsh? You know what? We'll hold on to our last sub for now. I'm not going to get too carried away. The average ratings for the midfielders and attackers are good. Defenders not doing so great in this game, but they've been bailed out a little bit. Anyway, Shuttleworth keeps it in superbly. Can't get it in. Mr. Dessa, have a go, my friend. Okay, he's given away the ball. Now you do need to get back into position if you can. Shuttleworth, Shvetsov header. Kosic hit that. Oh my word, he's tucked it in. We've scored 5 again. What is happening this year? What? We just can't be contained, folks. It's a ballsy move, isn't it, just going all-out attack? But it's kind of just working for us here. Shvetsov, a lovely little intelligent nod. His assist for Molyneux's goal was good. Another great little header there. Unfortunately, with that assist, I am still going to sub him off for Turnbull, because I want to give Turnbull some minutes, and good opportunity for Turnbull to come off the bench and get some goals, perhaps. I'm going to go very attacking. You know what? Why not? Let's get some more. Let's try and get 6. 4 minutes of added time. We've got a chance here. I was about to say Andre Dessert. It's actually Diawara over it. Hits into the wall. Have another go, Diawara. Shuttleworth, Kosic. Oh, my word. Everyone's having shots there. Just falls to them. Just mashing the circle button or the B button, depending on what console you play on in FIFA. It's a good strategy. Recommend it. It's what our team are doing right here. Mr. Dessa forward. Molyneux can't quite get to it. I feel like this is the pointless highlight, but the fact it's continuing to go makes me want to believe they've ripped us apart. Will, can you save us? Of course he can. He's a wizard. What a save. What a save. A corner to deal with now. We didn't deal with one of these particularly well earlier. Shuttleworth gets this one away. Maybe switching to very attacking wasn't the smartest of moves, but it's not going to cost us here. 5-2. What a result that is. I'm very happy, boys. I'm a happy bunny. I'm a happy manager. Look at that. We're up to 2nd. That might be the highest we've ever been. Molyneux with a hat-trick. He's superb, my friend. Look, 17 goals. He's just insane. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm having so much fun with this save game at the moment. I think it's just the way that we're just scoring goals just sillily. It's just what we do. Great, great performance, though. I did say previously that this episode I was going to make it a multi-game one. In terms of games, I think we're going to not come back for a game, but next episode we'll do maybe Brentford. The reason I'm not going to do it is because we're going to go into some transfer stuff, because I do want to talk about it. I talked about it before the game, but I want to go into a bit more detail. You can see here a load of the players that our scouts have been looking at. There's one player who I've had my eye on since the summer. Michael Howe here, playing for Warsaw. He looks very, very good. The only downside is they want £10 million. Now, to me, this guy looks like he could be the future of England's centre mid. He's not even been capped at youth level yet, but there's a hell of a lot to like about him. So I'm just continuing to keep eyes on him. If we got to the Premier League, I might just spend all my budget on him because Why not? Okay, I'll tell you why not, because we need to strengthen the first team. But no, you can see here, we really have been scouting a lot of players and keeping our, options open. I talked before about this transfer strategy dilemma, shall we call it. So if you're new to Football Manager, you might not know this. When a player has 6 months left on their contract outside of the country you're managing in, at least in England, I think it varies a little bit around the world, but basically in England, 6 months before players' contracts are up, you can approach to sign them on a free transfer, and they'll move at the end of the year when their contract expires. Right now, it's obviously the 26th of December. This option to approach to sign players doesn't kick in until the end of December / start of January, because most players' contracts expire in June at the end of that month. So right now, what I'm doing is I have contract status is expired in a year, which includes players who have 7 months left, because we're currently in December before that 6-month cut-off. And I'm just scouting all of the players who could potentially be available. You can see here there's a few more to potentially take a look at who have actually become potentially interested in joining us. But this is a really good way to sometimes pick up some bargain players. Now, unfortunately, some of these players based in England we would have to bid for. So, for example, Simon Shuttleworth, I don't really need another striker. If I did, this guy would be a really, really good player to pick up. But unfortunately, because he's English, you can see his contract expires in 6 months' time. But we can't approach to sign him yet because of the country he's based in. But there's players here who I am looking at. You can see there's this guy, Mikhail, who looks very, very good, actually. He could be a really good inverted winger out on the left, If only his shooting and passing and vision were a tiny bit better. You can see he's naturally kind of a right attacking mid, which is interesting. But basically, the dilemma I've got is I could go out and probably find some really good players here to approach to sign, a bit like Adrian Rodriguez. I'm sure there's some players here with current ability who would be worth looking at. Or I can wait until later, and know where we're going to finish. Because, for example, Mukhtar here, I'm just picking a random player. I know this guy's quite a good playmaker. I could pick him up as competition for Andre Dazal, right? And he'd probably be a very good deep line playmaker, despite his awful physicals. And if I was in the Championship next year, it would make complete sense to sign this guy. However, if we do get promoted, he's going to be absolutely useless. And instead of having him and Dazelle battling it out, I'm going to be looking at signing a player who already replaces him before he joins us. It's just, it's a weird situation to be in, And it's a dilemma. I mean, let me know what you would do if you were me. Would you look to sign some players for the future who might be Championship quality? I know the obvious answer is, Jack, just sign a load of players who are Premier League quality now. The issue is that Premier League players want Premier League money and aren't that interested in joining us, If I just untick unrealistic, I'm sure there's some absolutely insane players here with contracts expiring at the end of the year who have insane wages currently, who would be great buys to the Championship, but just have absolutely no interest in joining us because we are a Championship side. It's it's a bit of a weird dilemma. There's some really good players here, but there's no way for me to get them because we're a Towlaw. We're basically playing in the Championship with the reputation of a League 1 or League 2 team. Like, we are not on the radar of any of the big players. It puts me in this weird spot. So, I can have it set to interest on transfer slightly. And there may be some good players here. I do need to give it a bit more of a scout because it does appear that I went through this about a month ago and started scouting players ahead of the end of the month. But as you can see here, there's a load of players now with unknown, which means that they've only recently decided, actually, a move to Towlaw could be quite nice. They're jumping on the bandwagon like all our fans are. So it's kind of a case of scout all of them and see who comes up. Of course, a fair amount of these are just based in England. But those that aren't are players that we should potentially have on our radar. And you can see, just through our scouts having a look around, I have actually spotted some very, very young players who have contracts expiring, like Juan Rodriguez here. He plays for Auxerre. I need to scout him to see exactly how good he is. But the kind of player that we could potentially sign on a free transfer. Similarly to some of the players we've signed in previous years. I know people have asked me, Jack, how are you signing these players on frees? This is how, basically. I'm looking at signing them before their contracts are up. This guy looks like he could be quite good. He's played for Celtic. I guess the big question is, does he have actual 3-star credibility or is it a lot lower? Also, obviously, scouts, stars are merely opinions. Always use your own judgment. Not necessarily opinions, that's not the right word, but it's what they interpret, which obviously has a margin of error. When I'm looking at players, I'm very much looking at them myself. You can see here, Fulham have this guy called Joe Harrison, who's a right back. He's actually quite good. He would be a really good centre back, would he not? Am I being dumb here? Why is the AI not trained him to play centre back? I mean, he hasn't got the best aggression in the world, I suppose, but at 21, he looks good. How much do they want? His contract's up at the end of the year, so the chances are their demands will drop. They want 5.75 million. No wonder you can't sell him. I mean, maybe that's the whole point. They just don't want to sell him. But, yeah, it's tricky. Because we've got... I know someone's going to look at £4 million transfer budget and loads of wage budget and go, Jan, just go spend it all. But the issue is, I can spend that money. That's really going to eat into our overall balance. And I am trying to keep this in the black if I can, which feels impossible at this point, to be honest, because we are just losing money so much. But I need to keep this overall balance positive, if possible, to continue to upgrade facilities. You can see here, I've asked for the youth facilities to be upgraded and the training facilities to be upgraded. I think we had already asked for the training facilities last time I talked about it. Recently, I asked for the youth facilities to be upgraded, back at the start of November, actually, and they did eventually grant it 1 month later. So, of course, it would be really, really nice to get these upgrades both done. But the chances are that if our bank balance is in the is in the red and we're in the negatives, they are not going to get greenlit as projects and they'll just get cancelled in the summer before we start. Of course, we've still got the new stadium happening as well, which is due to be done at the end of the season too. Worth noting, actually, we're building a new stadium. It doesn't actually meet the minimum requirements for a Premier League stadium, so it would be a little awkward if we got promoted this year, then couldn't move into the stadium that we've just built, but... we'll cross that bridge when we get there. You can see here, I don't really look at the club vision stuff very much, but on the whole, very, very positive. They've forgiven me for crashing out of the EFL Cup because we're doing so well in everything else, which is obviously the main thing. In terms of match performances, they are loving the exciting football. Interesting to note that even a draw against Birmingham they view as a really good result, which I guess is entirely down to the club reputation. I guess also the fact we're just playing the entertaining football that they want. I always feel like transfers is an interesting one as well. You can see here, I wish there was a way to sort the transfers by opinion. But you can see, for example, the board think that Garrido is an absolutely awful player and we shouldn't be doing anything with him. And the fans think he's the best thing ever. It's kind of funny how things pan out here. And also, you know, players that we get rid of, some of the fans are delighted with. And some they're really unhappy with. I feel like the fans and the board have very different ideas for what they want. You can see like Bravo, for example, who's not played in the first team yet, but at the rate he's developing will get a chance in the first team at some point. The board absolutely love it. The fans, they just detest it. It's kind of funny to look at. It's this weird, I don't know. It's trying to please people who want two very different things, I suppose. But the great news is the board are very happy. Obviously, they've given us a new contract. We have got money to spend if we want to. I just don't know if I want to. That's kind of what it comes down to. I feel like this bit at the end of this episode is almost therapy for me because I really would like to know your thoughts in detail about what we should be doing right now. The way that we're playing makes me feel like automatic promotion should be a target at this point. You know, we started the season a little bit slowly and we had that absolutely awful run in September and October. But with the results that we've got recently at Burnley and against Middlesbrough, I kind of look at it and go, man, we're getting these results against some very, very good teams. And if we could just cut out the rubbish results against the likes of QPR, Birmingham and Luton, I mean, let's look at where those teams are. You can see Birmingham are in 12th, Luton are in 20th, QPR in 14th. Man, if we win those, we're just comfortably in the automatic promotion spots. It's a weird, weird time here at Towlor, but it's a good time as well. It's just, I'm not really sure what the right approach is because it's a very unusual situation, basically, with the finances, with the options we have in terms of having the actual money to spend without actually having the money there, how the league's going. In many ways, it'd be a lot easier if we were bogged down in the mid-tables of the Championship, you know, to make a call and know what the right decision is. Because the obvious decision then would be just go out and sign a load of players who are going to be good Championship players for a real push next year. But where we are right now, I don't really want to sign a load of players that all end up being useless. That said, there are some very, very good young players here. And if I could find a way to get them in, I would. For example, Adrian Rodriguez, he looks very solid at 18. I don't think he's as good as our scouts think he is. But there is a hell of a lot to like for sure. But anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. I want to know your thoughts. It's a dilemma. Let me know what you would do. We'll be back at some point in January where I will have inevitably made a decision one way or the other. And, well, hopefully we're still competing in the Championship. I said about coming back for the Brentford game. I might go all the way to the Portsmouth game. We'll play it by ear and see what happens. Obviously, an FA Cup run would be nice too. I don't know. Let me know what game you would like to be back for. I feel like Brentford would be a good one. We have got a lot of mid-table teams that we really should be winning in a nice little run in that lead up to the Portsmouth game. But it is 10 matches away, which is a little while, really. But anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. Let me know your thoughts. Really appreciate the support as always, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I need to go lay down and think. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. It's me, Jack, and I'm out.